Namibia is commemorating the country's first annual Genocide Remembrance Day, with the president reiterating her call for Germany to pay reparations. May 28th was chosen for the national holiday, the day in 1907 when German officials ordered the closure of concentration camps in Namibia following international criticism. Tens of thousands of Herero and Nama people were massacred by colonial-era German troops over a 4-year period. Some were beheaded with their skulls sent to Berlin for what the Germans called scientific research. The aim of those racist studies was to prove the superiority of white people. Germany's actions in Namibia are regarded as the first genocide of the 20th century. Let's speak to Jemima Beukes, a journalist in Namibia, joining us now from the capital. Welcome. Namibia now marking its first Genocide Remembrance Day. Can you tell us how important it was to officially recognize this painful chapter in Namibia's history?
So today was an extremely important day, but particularly because the history has largely been whitewashed for a very long time. It has not been taught. Many of the Namibian youth are very oblivious to that painful history, and having a Memorial Day on the calendar marks a very important start for young Namibians to learn about this painful history, but also most importantly for nation building, because Namibia and Germany has a shared history, and with that I mean there are many born Namibian German-speaking Namibians in Namibia, and with these conversations there are obviously at times hostilities. So having a national day where people can have discourse around this issue is an extremely important time for Namibia. However, there is a lot of division around this day being picked for the Memorial Day. There are communities that feel that they have not been properly included in this day, and to decide on this particular day because the extermination orders were announced in April as well as in October, and they believe that these 2 days should have instead been used as Memorial Days and not on 28th of May. There is also a feeling that even though the concentration camp that was shut down marked the end of the genocide, the atrocities continued unabated, and they therefore feel that 28 May is not that important of a day.
Now, we're going to take a listen to a statement that was made by a German government spokesperson today, acknowledging Germany's responsibility for the genocide. If you could just stay with us, I would love to get your response afterwards.
The German government takes both moral and political responsibility. The government has called what happened in German Southwest Africa, as it was then known, a genocide. The German colonial power at the time was abhorrent, and it's therefore important that the German government already made clear back in 2021 that Germany wants to apologize to Namibia and the family members of the victims of the genocide.
Jemima, what is the general sentiment there? Has Germany done enough to make up for its responsibility for the genocide in Namibia?
Well, the sentiment is Germany hasn't done anything at all, because the negotiations has started a very long time ago. There's been calls for a very long time ago, and we are still at loggerheads, I would imagine, because Germany, from our understanding, does not want to use the word genocide. So there doesn't seem to be much of remorse from the German side, because they insist on referring to it as atrocities, which is a very generalized term. And even if you look at many of the ambassadors that have been posted here, they're also not very cooperative with many of the communities. Some of them have been very hostile towards some of these affected communities, and they've always used the excuse that they need to work with the government. And so many Namibians still feel that Germany has not done anything. The conversation about a quantum 1.1 billion euros has also largely been rejected as an insult, given that during the genocide, people's livelihood was taken, their cattle were taken, their land were taken. So everything that they would have used to build generational wealth was taken by the Germans, who instead used this very items, the livelihood, the land, and the cattle to build their own generational wealth. If you look at what is happening in Namibia today, most of the land, up to almost 70% of the land, is in the hands of white owners, and the majority of these are German-speaking Namibians. So they are, even though Namibians are not aggressive towards each other, and there is no talks of taking the land, even though the previous chief who passed on has hinted towards some of these. If Germany doesn't come to the table, if Germany doesn't do anything that seems like a real approach, that they would look at some of these drastic measures. So the sentiment in Namibia is many people are laughing at Germans. I mean, the German government. They feel the German government is at all not serious. And even if you look at many of the utterances that were made, especially the previous envoy Pollens, that has said that the conversation is now closed when the issue was raised that the money that Germany want to put on the table, the 1.1 billion, is not enough.
Indeed.
Namibians were made to understand that it is now a closed issue.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that context. Indeed, we heard there the German government spokesperson formally apologizing to the victims, but clearly the opinion not enough has been done. That from Jemima Beukes, a journalist in Namibia. We thank you so much for speaking with us on DW.